Big Sports Friday Football Blitz, presented by Fugate Enterprises, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell, starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Friday Football Blitz. We have made it to the playoffs. Tonight we have heavy hitters. Derby opening up against Lawrence in 6A, and Northwest at home against Salina South in 5A. Andale is also trying to continue their terrific unbeaten season. We get started with our game of the week, Andover at Maize South. The Mavericks started out the season 0-3, including a loss to Andover in week 2. But since then, they've been one of the hottest teams in the area, rattling off 5 straight wins. And Cake Sports' Austin Clift is live at Maize South to see if the Mavericks could avenge their early season loss. Austin?
Yeah, Chris, well, as I mentioned and as you just mentioned there, 5-3 versus 3-5. Andover coming in here on week 2 and just dismantling the Mavericks. But they would try to come out here tonight in the postseason and prove that that was no fluke, that they could repeat that. But in the postseason, games are just a little bit different. People are playing with just a little bit more passion as they know their season could come to an end at any moment. Let's take a look at our game of the week. Andover out to show tonight that their week 2 win over Maize South was no fluke. The Mavericks looking to improve on a 5-game win streak and keep their season alive. First quarter, sophomore QB Colin Shields cocks back and fires downfield to Corey Meeks. The connection good for a 50-yard TD, 7-0 Mavs. Still first quarter, Trojans at the goal line. Alex Jones rolls to his left, lofts an arch to Ethan Richardson, and we're all knotted up at 7. To the second quarter, Mavs threatening. It worked in the first quarter. Why not try it again? Shields to Meeks on the money. It's 14-7 Maize South. The Trojans keep it close in the half. A 22-yard field goal here off the leg of David Kemp. 14-10 Mavs at the half. Second half, Trojans driving. Jones finds Adrian Manny on the screen, and Manny finds his way into the end zone and into a 17-14 lead for Andover. But then in the fourth, Mavs in the red zone. The give is to Mason Edwards. He pounds his way in to take back the lead, and with 40 seconds to play, Trojans looking for some razzle-dazzle. The ball comes loose. Maize South recovers. They hold on for a 21-17 victory.
You know, hats off to Andover. They played their tails off tonight, you know, a little shorthanded and gave us a game. And, you know, we're just fortunate to get out of this one.
You know, they came out, they gave 100%. You know, tonight I think they were the better team, and I think we just came out on top. You know, just a big shout out to those guys, though. They played a great game.
So what more could you ask for in week 1 of the playoffs? A close back-and-forth affair. Maize South moving on to round 2 of the playoffs. They will play their crosstown rivals, the Maize Eagles, next week in round 2. That's going to do it for round 1 of the playoffs, the game of the week here. We will send back to you in the studio.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Austin. What a game. In Derby, they're a powerhouse in 6A, and they've made it to the state championship in 4 out of the last 5 years, winning 3 state championships. And they start their quest to get back to the top tonight. And they do it against a former giant in Kansas high school football, Lawrence High. The Chessie Lions are 1-7 and on the road in Derby tonight. It's a tough task for them. Derby coming off a big win over Maize last week. It's the first possession for Derby. Hunter Igo connects with Jacob Karsick for the touchdown reception as he holds on over the middle for 7. Panthers would lead it 7-0. Next possession for Derby. Once again, Igo finding Karsick for the touchdown reception. Derby extending their lead to 14-0. It ain't broke, don't fix it. Derby cruises with a 41-7 win. They will play Dodge City next week. We'll jump over to the City League. Northwest opening up the playoffs, hosting Salina South. Northwest is the number 1 seed out west. In first quarter, Reagan Jones hands it off to Brees Hall, and he goes right up the middle. No one stops him. Grizzlies go up 6-0 in a blink of an eye. And Salina South's Taryn Galloway drops back and gets Kyle Quill on 3rd and long. And he brings it down to the 20-yard line. What a conversion on 3rd down there. The Cougars kick a field goal a few plays later. The Grizzlies stay on the ground. Hall out there breaking ankles. Brees is the beast, busts off a long run, and he eventually goes out around the 20, which sets up this. Jones calling his own number, and he lowers his shoulder at the goal line for a touchdown. How do you like that at your quarterback, showing some toughness? Northwest wins big, 58-24. Newton on the road at Bishop Carroll. Bishop Carroll's won 4 straight games and looking for a deep run in the playoffs this year. Sophomore quarterback Aiden Needens slinging the rock, drops back, And then right into Max Bollinger's breadbasket. Golden Eagles get to the 10-yard line. Needens then hands it off to Jackson Nichols. He scores the touchdown. Bishop Carroll goes up 3 scores, and Nichols with his Des Bryant-Selly throwing up the X. And before the half, Newton making a move. Colton Davis heaves it to Demarius Peterson, and the 6'7" senior makes a great one-handed catch. Looks even better in slow-mo. The big fella getting up. Chris Jacks getting tricky, dials up a railer special. Josh Edson gets it on the reverse, throws it to an open Peyton Maxwell for a touchdown. Bishop Carroll pulls out a closer than expected win versus the pesky Railers in a shootout with a final of 40-34. They will play the winner of Salina Central Goddard. A little later on, we'll find out who won that game. More in 5A football, 1-7 Liberal at 7-1 Maize. The Eagles coming off their first loss of the season, so look out, Redskins. Maize up 42-0 in the start of the second, maybe a little complacent. They lose the ball, and that's Sirius Dunlap with the scoop and the score. Liberal not going to be shut out tonight. Caleb Grill now back to pass, and he hits John A. Young. He plays for the other team, and it's going the other way, but Maize D would hold him to a missed field goal there, and the Eagles finally back in scoring position. That's Caleb Grill finding Clay Kelly for a short pass. Getting to the goal line, then Grill and Kelly connect again for a touchdown. That one right at the pylon. Nice pitch and catch. The Maize Eagles get back to their winning ways with a 56-15 victory tonight. We get another rematch with Eisenhower at Salina Central. Salina Central beat the Tigers in week 1. The Mustangs open up the half. Nice long drive, and here's a fake field goal, and Riley Counts sprints it in. 6-0 Salina Central. Of a little trickery, Jackson Cavanaugh finds Gavin Prester down the field for a touchdown. The Mustangs taking the 13-0 lead. Late in the second quarter, Cavanaugh scrambles out to his right, looking. Eventually he finds Counts for a touchdown. They connect again. Salina Central starting to pull away. Eisenhower got things going late. Parker Wenzel finding his way up the middle, scores with a 1-yard out touchdown to make it 20-7. And Salina Central, they actually go on to win 27, but no one scored in the second half. They will play a hungry Bishop Carroll team next week. Andale has been one of the most dominant teams in the state, no matter what class they're in. We still have their postseason opening up game tonight against Halsted coming up. Plus, one of the great things about the playoffs, seeing different teams from different areas square off. We have Mulvane and Arc City, and the highlights return on the Blitz. The Andale Indians went 12-0 last year before losing to Bishop Maize in the 4A Division I state championship game. They're a class smaller this year, but it's the same Andale team that we're used to seeing. They've been on a mission to get to that 3A state championship game this year. They had a stretch of 6 games this season where they only allowed 6 points. That defense is good. Andale starts off their march to Hutch tonight by hosting Halsted. And the Dragons have had a solid year as well with a 5-3 regular season. Andale wasting no time. Ethan Ballman fakes the handoff, says, "I got this," weaves his way through the Dragon defense to put the Indians up early. Halsted trying to get to tie it up on their next drive. Braden Gerber keeps it himself, trucks over a defender for some extra yards. And later that drive, Gerber has some trouble with the exchange and puts it on the turf. Andale comes up with it. It looks like Mac Brand is there on the recovery. The Indians with great field position then. Sire Simon takes it down to the 1. That sets up Ballman with the keeper. He gets stuffed initially, but it's that second, third effort that he gets in there for 6. Andale continues to roll with a 35-0 victory. And they await the winner of Chapman and Clearwater. Mulvane hosting Arc City. Wildcats versus the Bulldogs. Mulvane is riding a 5-game win streak into the postseason. Wants to start off in the second quarter for Mulvane, and it's Mason Ellis finding Drew Ellis wide open down the sidelines for a huge touchdown. Got the speed. Then first possession in the third quarter for Mulvane, and it's Drew Ellis getting the pass from Mason for the touchdown. Wildcats go up 26-14. It looked like they might run away with this one, but Arc City had a big second half, and they would go on to beat Mulvane 29-26. How about that? Let's take a look at some of the playoff matchups in 6A. Next week, we get Derby and Dodge City. And in a Northeast Kansas matchup, it'll be Topeka High and Washburn Rural. Topeka High beat Hutchinson in a wild game, 45-43. Kudos, though, to the Salthawks for playing a great game. They were up a couple touchdowns in that second half, but couldn't hold on. North at Free State. Free State gets the 61-18 win. They will go on to play Campus in the second round, who beat South today. West beats East for the second straight week, and they move on to play a Manhattan team who had a huge win over Southeast. Over in 5A, Northwest will host Emporia next Friday after the Spartans beat Heights 35-17. We get a battle for Maize versus Maize South next week. And Great Bend beats Valley Center, and they will play Cape and Mount Carmel after they beat Hayes by 20. It's those games. And now let's take a look at 4A, and that'll be a fun one. Maize for South, like I said. And McPherson continues their undefeated run after blanking Independence. Arc City will play Coffeyville next week. Wellington gets matched up with Bueller, and Goddard and Andover Central. They will play again. Goddard won by 1 in overtime back in week 3, so that'll be one to keep an eye on. Cheney at Smoky Valley. Cheney falls Smoky Valley 43-6, and they await the winner of Heston Collegiate, which Heston, they won 41-28, and they will play that game. And then it's Pratt who beat Concordia, and Colby getting Kingman, so they will have that game as we go on in the playoffs there. And let's more 3A scores for you. Clearwater at Chapman. It's Chapman advancing with a big win. Andale, like we saw earlier, they will play Chapman in the next round. And Scott City going to play Beloit after Beloit beat Hugoton and Scott City beat Nickerson. Will be some matchups to keep an eye on for next Friday, as we will have that. And the Blitz will be right back after the break. That does it tonight for the first week of the playoffs. Also, good luck to all of our area teams still playing for a state volleyball championship and soccer championship. We'll see you back here next Friday night as teams continue their push towards the title game. Good night.